You clicked because there may be someone you cannot describe without immediately defending them. Nothing they do sounds dramatic on its own. Yet around them, you explain more, apologize faster, tell friends less, and rehearse ordinary decisions as if you need permission. That is what makes manipulation difficult to recognize. The question is not, did they once say something hurtful? It is, what keeps happening to me around them? Repeated manipulation leaves a directional fingerprint. Less clarity about what happened, less freedom to choose, and less trust in yourself. That is the test behind these 9 signs. They begin by controlling the conversation, spread into your choices, and eventually teach you to control yourself. The first sign is that the original issue keeps disappearing. You raise one concern. They introduce an old mistake, question one word you used, and demand an answer to a completely different accusation. Now one clear issue has become 10 tangled arguments. You try to answer all 10, that is the trap. Before a difficult conversation, reduce your concern to one sentence. If the discussion moves, return to it. We can discuss my tone next. First, I want to finish what I raised. Someone seeking resolution may dislike that boundary, but they can usually remain with the issue. Someone relying on confusion needs the issue to keep moving. The second sign begins when accountability suddenly changes direction. You say, you lied to me. First comes denial, I did not. Then attack, I cannot believe you would accuse me. Then reversal, after everything I have done, you are the one hurting me. Psychologist Jennifer Freyd gave this sequence a name. DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse, victim and offender. DARVO is not proof that the original accusation is true. Innocent people deny things too. The revealing part is the full movement. There is no curiosity and no attempt to examine what happened. The conversation becomes a trial of your character, and you are pressured to comfort the person you approached. You entered asking for accountability. You leave proving you are not cruel. The third sign is urgency that prevents thought. Decide now. Do not ask anybody else. If you loved me, you would not need time. The deadline may be real, but urgency becomes manipulation when delay would give you information, advice, or the courage to say no. Ask one question. What changes if I decide tomorrow? If the answer is practical, you have useful information. If the answer is punishment, accusation, or a threat to the relationship, the urgency may be protecting their control rather than your interests. Notice what has happened across these first 3 signs. The issue moved, the blame moved, the decision moved. Control has left the conversation and is beginning to enter your choices. The fourth sign appears when your boundaries are treated as betrayal. I cannot lend you money. I am not sharing my password. I need tonight to myself. A limit becomes evidence that you are selfish, disloyal, or uncaring. Healthy people can feel disappointed by a boundary. The test is whether your no can remain a no without humiliation, threats, silent punishment, or emotional debt. If every boundary requires a courtroom defense, the argument may not be about understanding your reason. It may be about exhausting your resistance. The fifth sign is harder to recognize because it feels like love returning. After days of coldness, warmth suddenly comes back. They are affectionate, attentive, almost like the person you were trying to reach. Then you disagree, ask a question, or spend time elsewhere, and the warmth disappears. Affection has become a reward. Withdrawal has become a correction. The power comes from unpredictability. You keep searching for the version of them that made you feel safe, so you study yourself instead. Which sentence ruined the evening? Which friend causes the distance? Which part of you should become smaller to bring the warmth back? One cold day proves nothing. People become tired, stressed, and quiet. The pattern matters. Closeness repeatedly returns when you comply and disappears when you act independently. The sixth sign is a test you can never pass. Be honest, but not about that. Be independent, but always available. Speak up, but not in a way that makes them uncomfortable. Every time you satisfy the rule changes. You explain more carefully, give more, try harder. But the finish line moves because success would end the leverage. A genuine complaint can usually describe repair. If this changes, we can move forward. A control system keeps you permanently auditioning. By now, manipulation does not need to win every argument. It only needs to shape your behavior before the argument begins. That is when the third stage starts, control of your inner world. The seventh sign is that your world becomes smaller. The friend who questions the relationship is jealous. Your family never understood you. The colleague who supports you has an agenda. Any outside perspective becomes suspicious, while one person becomes the safest interpreter of everyone else. Isolation is not always a locked door. Sometimes it is the slow destruction of trust in every door except theirs. Ask yourself, who have I become less honest with since this relationship began? If you keep hiding incidents because you already know what people who care about you would say, that secrecy deserves attention. The eighth sign is repeated pressure to distrust your own reality. That never happened. You always remember things wrong. You are too sensitive. One disagreement about memory is human. Gaslighting is a repeated pattern of denying, diverting or trivializing your experience until their version of reality becomes safer to accept than your own. The effect is larger than confusion about one event. You begin borrowing their judgment to decide whether your feelings are valid. If it is safe, keep a private factual record, what was agreed, what happened, and what was said. Not to build a prosecution. To stop every new conversation from rewriting the last one. And then comes the ninth sign, the point toward which the others have been moving. You begin manipulating yourself. Before speaking, you predict their reaction. You delete the message, change the clothes, cancel the plan, hide the success, swallow the question. Nobody has forbidden anything in that moment. They no longer need to. You have learned which version of you keeps the peace. This is why manipulation can be so difficult to explain from the inside. You may still appear free, but your choices are being made inside a map of somebody else's reactions. Go back to the 3 losses. Do repeated conversations leave you with less clarity? Do decisions carry less freedom? Do you trust yourself less than you used to? One bad conversation does not diagnose a person. A single sign is not a verdict. Look for repetition, escalation, and direction. And do not confront someone in a way that could put you at risk, simply because a video gave the pattern a name. If fear, threats, isolation, or control are present, consider speaking privately with somebody trustworthy or a qualified support service. Your safety matters more than winning the argument. The goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. It is to notice when a relationship repeatedly requires you to surrender clarity, choice, and self-trust in exchange for temporary peace. Remember the person you could not describe without immediately defending. You do not need a courtroom case before you are allowed to notice what the relationship is doing to you. Stop asking whether every individual incident is bad enough. Ask the question that reveals the direction. Around them, am I becoming clearer, freer, and more able to trust myself, or less? Manipulation survives by making each moment seem too small to count. Clarity begins when you stop judging the moments one by one and notice where they have been taking you. You are not required to disappear just because no single step looked dramatic.